Hello, everybody. It's Christina Payne, and this is another episode of Becoming Visible with Christina Payne. As promised, we are going to start bringing you guest interviews, and today I have a special guest with me. Her name is Tricia Vincent, and she is with Launch Your Influence. And today you have the awesome pleasure of hearing her story of how she launched um, her business and how she's grown it over the time that it has been in place. So, welcome, Tricia, to our
Thank
podcast.
you. Thank you, Christina. I love what you're doing. I'm so excited for you. And it's a pleasure and honor to be here with you.
Oh,
Becoming visible.
Becoming Visible with Christina Payne. And I'll give you a little bit of backstory for those of everyone who's new to the podcast. We are 4 weeks into our podcast. So we have
Wow.
just launched. We're now 4 weeks. Weeks 1 through 3 have been about giving people education about what to do in the growth phase and kind of helping us set apart why we're different than just, interviewing people who are in their startup phase. And I'll give you the little spiel behind it, right? So less than 1% of our businesses actually grow to the growth phase where they achieve like 1 million in revenue. And the reasons behind that primarily is that we don't have the support and the resources and the education behind it. And one of the things that I think we can do to remedy that is make these businesses a bit more visible, make the founders a little bit more visible, start to hear their stories, hear the passion behind why they do what they do, and not just the growth in revenue potential, but the growth in being able to employ people in those services and grow those businesses. So that is the behind the scenes spiel to why we have the Becoming Visible podcast, and also why I wanted to bring you on, because I know that you probably feel like, wait, are we
Yeah.
ready for that? But I want people to hear the stories of people who are in the growth phase as well. And I know you are absolutely in the growth phase and some of the things that you may be encountering and challenging. So, as promised, for the next 30 to 40 minutes, and I am keeping a little timer here so that we don't go over and we're honoring your time, we want to go through a couple of these items that are here on the screen, right? So we've done our introductions. Oh, fun fact, Tricia and I worked together before. So we are friends, real life
No,
friends.
we really know each other.
We really know each other. We met on a client. I think it was Chevron. We met with the Chevron client and we talked and just gravitated to each other. But the thing that blessed me so much about her is she truly has an entrepreneurial spirit and a love for God. And those two things
Yes.
together, I am just gravitating to people like that because I
Oh,
love you and I appreciate you. Love
I
her
love
so
you
much
too.
that I got her to coach my babies. That's how much I trust in her. She has also coached my babies to become better people in the space of their careers. And I think a lot of people need to hear that. So thank you.
Yes, thank you for having me. Thank you for our relationship and how it's developed and grown. And I am so excited for this side of your journey.
Awesome. Okay, tell us a little bit about your career journey and how you arrived at this place.
So, how I arrived at this place ironically started where you and I met. So, while I was working at Chevron, I I had always updated resumes in my background. Like I was always doing that on the side for people. Um, and while I was at Chevron, I started encountering individuals who had the same entrepreneurial spirit that I did, but they were just keeping it like, oh, it's just a side gig. And I was like, even if it's a side gig, you need to have like your picture done, how are you going to take yourself to the next level if somebody wants to approach you about an opportunity? And so that's where Launch Your Influence came in. Like, you need to make sure that you manage your own influence. And so I started working with individuals and actually having workshops, and uh I had a conference. I had a conference, launched it, had some invited people from Chevron to attend, and I think we had like 17, 18 people that year, and that was my leap of faith of let's go ahead and make it. And I'm having these individual one-on-one conversations. So it just made sense to take it to the next level and see how I could, better help and assist them. Those individuals till this day are still my clients. Like I still have a relationship with the majority of them in this space. And so what ended up happening was I launched Launch Your Influence as an event. And then those same individuals were like, hey, we want to, can you help us with uh, updating our information because we want to get noticed within Chevron. And so I was like, oh, I can help you with that. So I started updating resumes, and then it turned from resumes to portfolios. And then so Launch Your Influence ended up launching their influence back into corporate America in some ways while they were doing their 5 to 9. And so then those clients became my clients again in referrals. And that really is the beginning of it. So it's all about relationship. That's number one. Number two, understanding really what is easy for you. Because I started off doing the event and conference, like I was telling you about. But then I realized what was easy for me was so difficult for others. Being able to present and market themselves in a way that demonstrated the value that they delivered for their company. And I didn't realize my skill set. That was my superpower. And having worked at Chevron in project management and value management, all of that came into play to where I am today. And so never burn your bridges. Like people I don't want to do that anymore. Like that's old. No, honey, it isn't old. It's relevant, right? So it's going to be relevant to whoever's in need of your skill set, of your talent. And so what does that look like? How are you framing yourself? And how are you launching your influence? Plug.
That's awesome. That's
Shameless
great.
plug.
No, all the plugs. Do all the plugs. That's what we're here for, is to not only to make visible what you guys are doing, but also to bring you that community of people and clients that may be future opportunities for you. So all the plugs, no shame, all plugs here. We want to grow everybody as we're doing it. But you said something that caught my attention. That was a nice kind of segue into the topic for this episode. So one of the things that we want to do in this first season is to talk about that journey of actually going from being a side hustle to a full-on business, and the differences between being able to do it in that 5 to 9 that you mentioned space, and then having to grow that into something where we're actually scaling up, and we need to bring people on, and we need to have repeatable processes. So tell us a little bit about how that is coming along for you as you are trying to actually enter that growth phase and scale up.
Yeah, it's been an interesting journey because you have to, like you said, you have to identify what are some of the baseline activities that help maintain your company. Like what is running your company? What are those things that your clients are seeking from you? And is that in a space where it's automated, right? Like, can that run on its own? So workflow management is huge. Having the right tools and systems to make your job simplified is important. So simplicity is a key, which is a challenge for entrepreneurs because we are like, we want to take over the whole world. Like we could do so much, and then AI is our best friend. And so we could like run things. And so understanding what's your sweet lane, right? And making sure that your business is your business. I'm supporting another company right now, and they made a comment which really caught my ear on our business is XYZ. Like we'll use technology, we'll use everything else, but our business is in serving the legal community as an example. And so it's like really important for you to understand what is your business, what are your processes to enable you to achieve what needs to be done, and be familiar with your data. So part of being simplistic is understanding why do I need to be simplistic, so that that, you know, data analytics, the business analyst out of me comes into play. Like, okay, where are, you know, what are those pivotal points that drive value that I need to make sure is protected, and continues. And so that took a minute for me to be able to even articulate where I am to, you know, being able to say this right now, because you've got to go through your nuances, right? Like, be
Mhm.
familiar with understanding that. And I actually hired somebody to help me with my own data,
Mhm.
which was huge. So those things that block you from being successful, like trying to figure everything out, is wasted time and it's wasted space. You need to hire somebody that's an expert in that area to free you up, right? And what am I reading right now? Oh, this book. It's like the 20% of the 10%. Benjamin Hardy. I think Dr. Benjamin Hardy. I'll get the book for you, but it really is about how do you free up that 80% that you've been doing. And just because you did it doesn't mean like it was optimized. It was successful to get you to that point, but that's not how it was supposed to be really used. And so getting rid of that 80% to someone that is proficient and professional and can take it to the next level without using all the energy that it takes for you to catch up, like reclaim that and focus on that 10 to 20%, and you'll see a difference.
talk to me
Huge
about
difference.
how talk to me about how difficult that is interpersonally, right? Because I know one of the struggles that I hear from a lot of entrepreneurs is that when you are strapped for cash, you're bootstrapping on your own, when you are just kind of thrown into a growth phase because you didn't really anticipate it growing in the way that it did, you've become comfortable with doing things on your own, right? And you
Yeah,
can jump in there and you can, be up at 2 a.m. and do the things that need to get done. And you're just
right.
on pure adrenaline to get things done. And sometimes it's very difficult for entrepreneurs to delegate that work to others and trust others and export. A big part of that is it's exporting your culture, your vision, and your mission, and having people do it in a way that you feel comfortable that they are replicating your vision. Tell us a
That
little
they
bit
can
about
do
how
it.
that they can do it. Tell us a bit about how that you've
I'm still
experienced
doing
that.
that right now. It's, I mean, I don't think you ever get out of that phase of, being challenged and
Mhm.
stretching yourself. I think it's always going to happen. And I think that one of my challenges, especially when you don't, if that's your only stream of income and revenue coming in, it's about how can I be creative? And so that's really where AI comes into place, right? To where how can I leverage that and develop some of those processes, right? Because you need to do that regardless. Like, you don't need another person to help. And that was a lie. I was thinking I needed to bring this person on to help me get my, and then at the end of the day, it was me blocking me because I was like, okay, I need you to do this. And I'm like, oh, they can't do it. They don't know. And
Mhm.
so if you're in at that stage, it was like the lights went on for me that, okay, I need to, this is foundational activity. This is me sewing into myself. This is me laying out my own workflow, process flows. A matter of fact, Christina, you and I met at the beginning, right? And you got me onto asking all these questions, and I was like, oh my gosh, I need, this is what we were doing for Chevron, the client, and now I'm my own client. So
Mhm.
uh understanding those processes, I realized that I had to be able to answer those for myself, and then come up with some format. So, being a business analyst helped because I was developing, the workflows and the processes and the wireframes of where the steps needed to go. And then the project management side was easy for me to then take that and put that in a Kanban or a team site just to keep me organized. So I think people underestimate that time frame. We want to just go in and do the big stuff, but those weekends were made up of understanding what I needed to do. So during the week, it was about getting the clients what they need so I can get those contracts, so I can get revenue coming in. But on the weekends, if I could, I was like, let me build my processes, because if I do need somebody, I just want to hand this over. So
Mm,
now I haven't, you need to do that like twice a year. I recommend that you do your process updates twice a year. I hadn't done that. So now I'm at this stage where it's like, I need to bring somebody on and they're waiting on me. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm so exhausted. I got to do this all over again. It's like there's some things you don't have to repeat, but in terms of like wanting to scale, that's where I'm at. I want to scale, and I have to revisit the tools. There's so many things that I have to revisit, because at that point in time, where I was managed what I was, right? But it can't take me to the next level. So I've got to revisit all of that. So, yeah, that's where I'm at.
and
On
I'm appreciative of you saying that because I am also there. And I'm
Okay.
not as far as you guys are in terms of scaling. So I've had little small businesses on the side and I've done things on my own. And you build kind of some bad habits. I'm just going to put it out there. You build some bad habits. You can be lazy about doing something until the last minute because no one
Yeah.
has visibility on it but you. You can, stay up in the middle of the night and pump something out because that's, something that you can get done in your
Mm-hmm.
and you can focus on work the day of and you get to the end of the day and you're just too tired, but you get up at 2 a.m. and you try to make up for it. Those are all things that you can do when it's just
Right.
you. But
Mm-hmm.
when there are people involved and you have to have staff meetings once a week and you have these like, okay, what did we accomplish this week? And I have to pay these people and I want to pay them for results. You have to figure out, okay, what does infrastructure need to be in order for this to work? And what do I need
Right.
to see,
Right.
as a expected result of this activity that these people are doing? And how do I, help them to be as
Mm-hmm.
efficient as they can be without making me the bottleneck? So I get it. And it does take a lot
Yeah.
of time to establish that. But hopefully some of the education that we're giving in these episodes, people start to hear where they may see themselves and what you need to do differently. So
Mm-hmm.
specifically, if you had to give them one or two pieces of advice on what to do first, what would that be? Like if you are getting to the place where you can't do it yourself, you can't do it all yourself, what would that one first piece of advice be for them to do?
Well, capture your operational activities so somebody can come and help you, right? Because if you're at that stage, then you're at the stage of, I need help. I need,
Mhm.
and I can't just throw bodies at it. I need to be really strategic of who I bring on, which then requires you to be really detailed on what your expectations are, to get some things done. So sometimes we know what needs to be done, but when somebody else comes to step into those shoes, we assume a lot, like what you were saying, like nobody knows about, okay, I'm just going to wait till the last minute to do this. And the visibility, your private habits become visible very
Mhm.
quickly. And so I recommend, like at the beginning, capture what those activities are, and the steps, so you can better articulate what your need and what your expectations are for someone to come and help you. Um, Number two, I would say, if you can, get a coach.
Mhm.
I think I said I was tired of coaches because I was coached out. But I this last coach was awesome. It took there were some things that I had to do. It was nothing on them, but man, that was the best experience
To have a coach.
ever, is to be able to be part of, and not all coaching programs are equal, right? So you really need to know what is it that I need to walk away and take away with. um but when you find the right niche, man, it is a win-win. And so everything that I learned during that time frame has helped me until now, right? Like, because I always think, man, I started too early, in my trajectory because I wasn't quite ready. And why wasn't I quite ready? Outside of not understanding my own processes, but also mental blocks, right? So I was my own, I was preventing my own success because, there was the fear factor, imposter syndrome, all of that. I'm helping everybody else. But then when it was time for me, it wasn't reciprocated. So I found comfort in doing work for others and dreaded doing work for myself. And so it's funny, this image that I'm looking at that you have up there. I wanted to do a happy hour, and I was like a headshot and happy hour because I knew I needed a new look. And man, I didn't realize what that unlocked for me, because even doing that small activity helped my perception of myself as an entrepreneur and a business person. And so being able to help others in their, pursuit of leadership and uh, aspiring, senior level roles, it was easy for me to help them out. But then when it was time for me to do it, I was blubbering and I couldn't
It's
talk.
easy to tell yourself no. That's what I'm saying. It's easy to tell yourself, okay, I'm gonna do it later, or not now, or I'm gonna get to it. And you can give yourself no. You can't give your client no, right?
Oh,
Clients.
exactly. Because they hold you accountable. They're paying for this.
Exactly.
And you know that. So you're going to deliver top notch quality service to somebody else and not to yourself. That's what
Exactly.
I was doing that early on. So from 20, I guess like 2022, 2022. I had someone working with me, and we had to, kind of split ways. And I remember thinking I was doing, 7 days a week nonstop. I said, nope, self-care Saturday is real. Sacred Sunday is real. I let me be real to myself and true to my own ethics and personal, goals. So I remember telling the client, she called me. I was like, it's self-care Saturday. I'll answer your question, but so it was easy. I didn't realize just saying that put people in the right, perception, in the right space. And then
Mhm.
that same client a year later was like, girl, you're talking about self-care Saturdays, but you're having this webinar on a Saturday. What are you doing?
I say they brought it back to you, right? Like, wait a
Brought
minute.
it back to me,
Are
girl.
you
Just the whole
living?
thing. I said, oh, okay. I got to think about that. I was like, you know what? You are kind of right on that, but maybe if I do it before noon, sometimes people have to check their email, but after 12, it's all good. So that was my compromise for that. But that tickles me because one, she heard me. And two, as entrepreneurs, we forget about ourselves, right? So
Mhm.
when I started doing my calendar and planning, I maintain that till this day. Self-care Saturdays and sacred Sundays.
I get it. I get it. And I'm going to have that as a takeaway because I don't have any boundaries right now. I just do things when I need to get done. And I need those boundaries. So I'm going to take that as a takeaway. Okay. I'm going to shift just a little bit more personal. For me, becoming visible is also about me getting out in front of the camera, so to speak, or getting in front and being visible. I tend and you know this about me, that's why you're smiling. I tend to stay in the background. Whatever anybody needs, I'm in the background. I will bump things out for you. I'm got the advice for you. But when it came to being front and foremost, I would shy away. And I think it has something to do with, like you said, the imposter syndrome and not being sure
Mhm.
this is you. And my personality tends to lean toward introversion. So I tend to like give my all when I have to in a work
Mhm.
setting or in whatever setting. And then I shrink away and I go and I just kind of like, I need to hide for a little while and recharge.
Yeah.
Tell me a bit about, I know you have a different, personality in that you're just bubbly and inviting and you draw that energy there, but tell me a bit about personally how this journey has impacted you and shaped you.
I think it goes back to that coaching program because I was so excited to join it and then realizing I I wasn't ready in some aspects. was disheartening. And I was like, okay, why aren't you ready? Like, why is it always coming back to that? So I had to really do some soul searching on that. But what came out of that was while I was still in the program, I was still pushing forward. So one thing I recognized about my personality is like, even though I know it's a challenge and it doesn't feel good, I'm still going to go through. So like, let me go ahead, and I don't want to get stuck.
Mhm.
So in pushing forward, with having me knowing, right? Like, so this isn't, you would never know if you looked on my LinkedIn for last year, because I've been offline for a couple months since last quarter. Any time last year up until October, I was on it. I was very active, and I was forcing myself to put my foot forward, to break out and to do something new, and to work in discomfort. That's huge for someone that's in this entrepreneurial space. Is It's not huge for being an entrepreneur because you have that mentality of working in high stressful environments, but the continuity of that,
Yes.
right? Like, so sometimes it ebb and flows, but when it's just you, it's you constantly, right? So I was like, oh my gosh, I really, I got to keep on, I got to put myself out there because I don't know when, I don't know. So that's where the boundaries came in, because I realized that I had some high energy moments. And then whenever I was low, it took me longer to get back to the high. So I realized I had to put a framework in place to make sure I was in the right frame of mind for, my business and myself, right? Like, cuz my creativity, I'm 80% creative, right? So whatever I'm doing for my client, it's got to come from a space that can't be distracted, disrupted, misaligned. I've got to be connected to my core and my God.
There you go.
Literally, to be able to produce what I know flows so naturally, right? So if I'm in a space where I'm stressed out, and that's not a good thing for me or my clients. So that's kind of what helped me in defining that Monday through Sunday days of the week. But on the weekend perspective, I'm emphasizing the weekend because mental health, all of that plays a part. And so if we don't manage it, then it'll manage us.
Mm. I agree. I I totally am taking a lot of notes from this. Every time I'm with you, I'm taking notes on how to do things differently. So I appreciate it. I'll be
Oh,
listening
no.
back, recording to get most of this. But I do have a couple other things I want to ask you about before I get
Sure.
into what's next for you. So talk to me a bit about the experience of juggling, where you have your 9 to 5, your 5 to 9, and then in those spaces where you only had your 5 to 9 and it needed to feed you. Talk to me a bit about how you've navigated that space.
I recently uh, have delved back into the 9 to 5. And so in April, like the first quarter, I was creating things for my clients that were just like stellar. So I was like, man, this is so good. And I can't show it off, right? Because it's their stuff. So then I was like, oh, I could be my own client. So I went back through my history, which part of that was where you and I were working through in data science. And Christina, when I looked at everything that I did in that time frame, I created a case study out of it. I did not realize all that I did. And so what that told me was when I had and my background is my family's Jamaican. So they always talk about you got 1, 2 tree job. Yeah, I had like, for real, I did have 3 jobs. Working for Chevron, doing my 5 to 9 with Launch Your Influence, and then I'm a corporate fellow at University of Houston downtown for their MBA program. So that's and other stuff, right? So I was like, okay, I have to, what was coming from my 9 to 5 could help out the collegiate side of things. Like, these are examples. My 5 to 9, I was feeding into that, so the juggling and the managing, it for that time frame, it worked because one group was giving me content for another group.
Awesome. You're leveraging your outputs.
Leveraging everything that I was doing is being passed on and cycled. That was like 5 years ago, right? So now I'm back into that same cycle, right? And so it took me an adjustment to go from the 5 to 9 of being, my 9 to 5 was 5 to 9.
Mm,
So
yeah.
for 5 years, that was everything. And then I realized exposure, uh, engagements with different clients, scenario thinking, like every little thing is like, oh, I could use that for a client. Oh, I've never thought of it that way. Oh, so I was like, okay, I need to bring myself back into that space because I didn't realize I was using that space to feed my creativity. And
Okay.
so that's where I'm at right now. And that's where the scalability comes in, right? Because now I need to replace, I got to
Yeah.
multiply myself, right?
Mhm.
And so that's really, in terms of juggling, it was, I need to make sure that I have a quiet space for myself to maintain the energy that's required to feed others in those scenarios. So if it was the 9 to 5, 5 to 9, and then, during the weekend or the week of those classes. And so, um, and then having a set schedule. So even personally, a lot of this is going to be on your personal discipline and how you handle your home life, I guess, right? So even my eating, my what do you call it when you prep? My meal prep. I didn't have a meal prep before, but meal prep is a real thing to me. So on the weekends, I was making my egg McMuffin, but breakfast, putting that so I could just pop it and go because again, energy is important to me. Drinking a lot of water, energy, the way that health, all of that. I needed to make sure that I was maintaining that. We just came out of COVID. So anything that stressed me out, my immune system is going to go down. And so I have a very low tolerance for uh being susceptible to certain things. So I'm like, no, I've got to be on it. Let me take my energy, what is it? Your airborne emergency daily, right? And drinking my water and staying away from, decreased sugar, decreased alcohol, increased vitamins, salads,
All those things to personally keep you fueled and ready. I appreciate you saying all of these things today. I think the people online are going to be inspired by it. I know that I am. It actually reinforces some of the things that I have been thinking and feeling about myself. Like, is this actually going to be possible? It feels like two jobs. I even had some of the guilt, like when I'm working on this, am I taken away from something that
I
I could be doing in my,
totally,
but you know what? All things work together, right? You have to, that's the part you're
it
leveraging
does.
different, you're helping it to work together for the good. So I appreciate that. Okay, we are going to start wrapping up here. I would like
Okay.
to know what's next for you. Please share with us what you have coming down the pipe, things that maybe the community can support you in.
Yes, well, be on the lookout because I was just talking about that photo. We're getting ready to we're planning for headshots and happy hour back to school in August, sometime in August, hopefully before September. We realize that a lot of parents are getting their kids back to school, but we know that you need to get ready as well. And so you need a photo, you need a brand. And so those are going to be some of the events that we have going on. And then you can check us out on LinkedIn or www.launchyourinfluence.com to see what else we have. You can download our white paper. Yes, we have a white paper on executive brand and executive essence presence. So if you can go ahead and take a look at that, that'll be great. I think you'll really enjoy just to see what we provide and some of our insights.
Awesome. And I think we neglected to mention that you are physically in Houston, Texas, but do you take clients that are outside of this area?
I I am physically we're 100% remote.
Okay.
So I've got clients California, New York, Africa, England. Yeah, we're global. That's a
So
good
you
thing.
That's awesome. So you may not be able to make happy hour and headshots, but you can still reach out to Tricia because she's available globally, right?
Yes.
Tricia, I have had a great time talking with you today. I
Thank you
appreciate
for
you being
having me.
my inaugural interview. You've made it so much easier for me and so much more comfortable for me to do this. I think I would have been a little bit more nervous if it was somebody I didn't know as well. But thank
Oh,
you so much for doing that. Now we can bring on some more people. I hope everyone will take the time to reach out to Tricia, launchurinfluence.com. Did I get that right, Tricia? Launch Your
yeah,
Influence.
launchurinfluence.com.
Any socials that you would like for them to go to follow you?
They Yeah, you can follow me at LinkedIn, Tricia Vincent, and Launch Your Influence, and on Instagram, Launch Your Influence, or this is Tricia Simone
Okay.
underscore this underscore is Tricia Simone. So, yeah, look forward to hearing from you guys.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Tricia. If you could
Have
just
a
hang
good
up,
one.
I'm gonna hang up here, but I want to officially say bye-bye. So
Bye bye, you guys. Have a good one.
thanks, guys. So let me stop recording.